But who better than me?
Welcome to volume 11 of the Femme Files. Now, I'm going to try and keep this one as concise as possible. I know I said that on the weekend wrap and ended up talking for 30 minutes plus. I apologize. But yeah, this one won't be as long. I'm going to be focusing on 3 up-and-coming prospects within the world of female boxing. 3 different weight classes as well, but 3 women that I have very high hopes for. So without further ado, let's get into the first one. Okay, so first up is a Canadian native who currently 20 years old and competing in the flyweight division, although she has scope to move up if required. That lady, with a nickname of the Iron Lady, is Alexis Kubicki. Now, having seen a couple of her fights more recently, she's currently 6-0, no knockouts at the moment, but I feel as soon as she sort of develops a bit more into, like, I guess her woman strength, if we're going to call it that, there's definitely scope for it. She reminds me a little bit in the way she approaches certain fights, a little bit like Sandy Ryan. She is very body attack heavy. Like, she really sort of digs her toes into the ground and gets a lot of leverage on her body shots. She's a boxer puncher by trade, can fight going forwards and going backwards, and is equally as effective at both. In terms of her defense, like, I won't say that she's the most defensively responsible, but that also makes her a very fun fighter to watch. Like, she will risk it in 50-50 exchanges, going sort of hook for hook, or even sort of straight to straight, or, you know, sort of throw in one of her body shots even though something's coming back. Generally speaking, she will, for the most part, tilt her head out of the way to sort of take a little bit off of the shots that she does get. And when she wants to sort of tuck up behind a tight guard, she can literally just tuck up you know, sort of underneath that guard, elbows in close, and stop a lot of shots really sort of going around the sides. So yeah, the defense needs work, but it's decent. And again, she's 20 years old, so there's a lot more to come from her. But she really does invest in the body. Like, I think she's more concerned about, you know, flooding the basement than she is actually trying to take someone's head off. Every fight I've seen her in, like, the body attack is her main go-to. Like, she'll sort of look for the over the top counters once a person's arms have been significantly lowered, but she definitely aims for the body a lot more. Again, no knockouts at the moment, but I definitely think they will come in time, just due to the you know, the style that she has and the fact that she's very fit. She can go at an extreme pace, you know, for all 10 rounds. She's only had 6 fights, but she's already done a 10-rounder at this point. So yeah, there's a lot really there to work with. What I'm gonna do, there's one of my favorite pieces of footage of hers, was basically her doing a, you know, sort of a no hands defense. I'm going to put that right at the end of this little section for you to see, as soon as I finish talking. You know, just a fun little 5-6 second clip, but I quite enjoy it. But yeah, this is sort of like what she's willing to sort of get away with, you know, while not necessarily being as defensively responsible as she should. But as I said, it makes her a fun fighter, and she definitely can take a shot. She knows how to ride them. I wouldn't quite call her like Joe Joyce. She isn't just getting hit for fun. But yeah, I haven't seen her wobbled as yet, and maybe in the future that might be the case. But for right now, it's not. A person that I would actually like to see her fight, I'd actually like to see her and Shannon Ryan get in the ring together. I think that would be a really fun fight. Shannon started her career at flyweight. She's currently competing at superfly, but she has said that she will go back down to flyweight once she's kind of cleaned up at superfly. So The two of them, they're 3 pounds apart. They've both reached the same weights before. Kubicki has also fought at Superfly in her first fight as well. So, you know, there's definitely scope. You could do it at a catch weight, or one go up or one go down. But either way, I think the two of them together would be a tremendous fight. Not going to say who I think would win that, but yeah, it would be a brilliant fight. I'm going to leave a link to one of her fights in the description box below. You guys can have a look. But yeah, here's the clip I was talking about. Okay, so second person I'm going to talk about today, another Canadian native, a little bit older than Alexis Kubicki, although when you look at them, this person probably actually looks a little bit younger than her realistically. Now, I'm going to talk about Bree Howling. Now, I heard of Bree Howling back in 2022 around about, it was probably just before summer, so around springtime. Now, one of the reasons I actually heard of her name is because she was linked with Sky Nicholson to have a fight sort of later on in the year. Now, that fight never materialized. Bree Howling basically says that she, you know, had signed on for the fight, and basically it was Sky's team that pulled out, although Sky then went on to social media and basically said that, you know, Bree Howling squad didn't want it, whatever. But Bree says, I signed for that fight, I was in camp ready to go, and she pulled the plug and decided to go elsewhere. So I decided to do a little digging into Bree Howling, and she was a former kickboxing champion. She's 25 now, but I think that she was basically kickboxing between sort of I think between the ages of 16 and 21, somewhere like that. I think there was a bit of crossover in that. Now, she's actually competes between sort of bantam and super bantamweight, but in terms of you know, an opponent, she's a lot more maturated and a lot more sort of mature in her, you know, her boxing career than someone like a Sky Nicholson. Hence why she was very upset she didn't get that fight. I definitely think that she believes that she could, you know, sort of take it to Sky and definitely give her a first L on the record. Looking at her skills, I mean, I would definitely say that that's a possibility. Again, another boxer puncher here. Very strong, very tough. Obviously, you know, kickboxers are notorious for being very tough. You've got very good punch selection, good movement, very athletic, and she doesn't have a typical kickboxer style. I always talk about, you know, sort of kickboxers having a certain stance and a certain position in the ring when you see them, but hers is actually, she's adapted to the boxing game a lot more smoothly than most have. Like I said, a lot of time you will see a lot of those kickboxers, you know, taekwondo especially, like their stance is always a lot wider and a sort of a lot more heavy set into the ground to generate that power, but I guess also to sort of get that spring. But her, she's a lot more upright, you know, a lot more fluid on the feet as well. So I definitely like Bree Howling as a competitor. The only issue I do have is the fact that she's been pro now for 4 years, and in those 4 years she's basically been fighting once a year since then. So at the end of 2019 she fought once in 2020, once in 2021, once in 2022, and now back in March of this year. To me, it's not good enough. For a talent that she needs to kind of get a move on, so she needs to have at least another 2 fights this year to make it a solid one. I would probably say even 3 if possible. I know part of that was pandemic. Obviously, coming from Canada, there also isn't a huge amount of opportunities at all times, and she was signed to Pro Bellum at a period, so obviously that in itself was I guess a bit of an issue because they became defunct. But yeah, look out for her. You can probably see some of her fights online. There are, I think, one or two there. I think she was on one of those Pro Bellum YouTube cards that they had. So definitely, if you want to take a look, have a look there. But yeah, Bree Howling's the second one. Like I said, very good talent, but just not active enough. Needs to get cracking because time waits for nobody. Okay, last but not least, I want to take it to the USA, the West Coast, more specifically California, for a 19-year-old prospect who I have a lot of high hopes for. She goes by the name of Guadeloupe Medina, aka Lupita. Now, she's actually the sister of a 5-0 prospect called Ahmed Medina, who last boxed back in 2021. Not sure what's sort of going on with him, whether or not he's coming back to the game at any point, but I do know that she's obviously been in the gyms with him and he still is training, so maybe just looking for a fight date, possibly. But with regards to her, very, very good talent. 4-0 with 2 KOs, so 50% KO ratio, just like Travis J. And she is a very fun fighter to watch. Her style basically is very reminiscent of Sinisa Estrada, like very fluid in movement. She can hit pretty hard, and you know, she likes to go to the body and vary attacks from body to head. So it's very hard to kind of find footage of her, so I've had to basically scour, and I've seen some sparring footage. I've seen her kind of on the bags, and I've seen one of her fights, although it's not on YouTube, so unfortunately I can't leave a link to it below. But please, if you get a chance, keep an eye out for her. Again, like I said, minimum weight, so competing at 105 pounds. So she's a small girl, but ultimately, like, she hits very hard, and she's got that dog in her. So she carries on. She basically just keeps going at it. She's gonna go far, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, she's definitely one of my prospects to watch. So again, Guadalupe Lupita Medina, definitely keep your eye out for her. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys very much for watching this episode of the Femme Files, and I'll catch you on the next one.